Hello, poker players and those who love them. Welcome to Drawing Life Poker Ministry. My name is Harvest Rich. I'm a Christian, and I'm married to a Christian who just happens to be a poker player. Today is an In the Mission Field update for November 22nd. So, for those of you who are getting ready to celebrate Thanksgiving tomorrow, I want to wish you the happiest of Thanksgiving. I am going to share with you just actually a 6-step process that Chris and I did as an impromptu assessment last Friday. Um, Full disclosure, I already tried doing this video a couple times, but I just kept going long on it because I wanted to give you examples of from our conversation and how we did things, but it's just making the video go too long. So I decided the best value for you would be for me just to outline the steps in the process. I think they're pretty clear, like what to do and how to do it. If you are interested or need some help, feel free to shoot a question down into the comments, or if there's enough interest, I can do a video that maybe elaborates on each of these steps a little bit more. So totally up to you. Let me know. But for today, I'm just going to try to keep this video short and sweet and share those 6 steps in the process with you. So last Friday, I was just feeling a little knocked off center and disgruntled and unhappy with a lot of the way things seem to be going for the ministry, for our finances, for um, expectations I had about living in Vegas, for Chris and his job as a professional poker player. I was just feeling a little bit, like I said, just knocked off center, and I was starting to take that out a little bit on Chris and just having a bad attitude and behaving quite sourly toward him. So he was supposed to go in and play poker on Friday, but decided to stay home so that we could address some of these things. And so what we ended up doing was this impromptu assessment, and I just want to share those steps with you. As I said, there were 6 steps that we followed. The first step was prayer. Once we decided to sit down and have the conversation, we wanted to open that up by through prayer, and a big part of that beginning for me was just making sure that I apologized and confessed the sin that I was living in, and my behavior and my attitude about things. And so we prayed about it, and then the the next step, or step number 2 of the assessment process, was for us to identify the areas that we wanted to talk about or address. And this could be a little bit challenging. It may require a little bit of brainstorming, just like put it out there. But then you'll start to see some themes come up, and you'll be able to narrow it down. For us, we narrowed it down to 5 things. And so once we identified those 5 areas that we needed to talk about, then we went into step number 3, which was to take turns, and we went through each item, so each of the items that we had identified in the previous step, and took turns sharing both our expectation for that area and the reality of that area. And because this whole part of our lives, everything, that all these aspects in our lives was new, is relatively new to us. And so we had a lot of expectations coming in, and no surprise, the reality isn't quite measuring up. So we started there, identifying those 2 things. After that, we did some brainstorming about what possible solutions would be. I think this is a good time to say, like, in leading up to this part, some of the solutions become pretty obvious, others not so much, and so that's okay. I mean, it's really just sort of pulling the threads out of all the the mess and anxiety and emotions and things like that that you're feeling at a certain time. This is just an opportunity to just sort of stop and pull those threads a little bit and see what you really have, what you're actually dealing with. And so that um, fifth step was to, or fourth step rather, was to brainstorm some possible solutions. And then the fifth step was to decide when you're actually going to implement the changes. For us, the changes were all fairly simple, so we were just able to implement basically right away. It was a Friday, we decided we would implement on Monday. So that was simple. And then the sixth step is just be aware that it's not a one and done. You're probably going to have to do more impromptu evaluations as time goes on. So those were the steps. Prayer, identify the areas of concern, look at the gap, discover the gap between the expectation and the reality, take time to brainstorm some how to solve those problems, decide when you want to implement those changes, and then move on with awareness that you're probably going to have to do a similar exercise again in the future. So that's it. I feel like I had one more thing that I was going to say, but I don't remember what it was. So once again, I just want to thank you for tuning in. Again, happy Thanksgiving to those of you who celebrate those traditions. And until next time, may God bless you and those you love. Bye.